Susan Gardner here for Municipal World. We're at the 2019 Ontario Municipal Administrators Association Spring Workshop in Niagara-on-the-Lake. Joining me in our media center is Holly Munn from BrandFreek. Welcome, Holly.
Thank you so much for having me.
So a big focus of the OMAA workshop has evolved around data, how to use it, why it's so important for municipalities, the fact that we've got so much data now. It's important that, it's good quality data and that we use it in the right ways and we know what we're collecting and that we're making decisions on it appropriately.
Absolutely.
Your presentation dealt with the challenges around big numbers and how to share them with the public.
Absolutely.
Tell us about that.
So one of the challenges is, Canadians are some of the most educated people in the world. We've done an amazing job of getting people to university, getting them through high school, getting them to really understand the educational prospect. The only challenge is we haven't done a good job of teaching them numeracy. What's numeracy? It's like literacy with numbers. So we have all this big data and we have all these analytics, but most people don't understand it. In fact, 55% of Canadians have real problems with numeracy. So that means things like pie charts, fractions, big numbers, people can't hold on to, they can't relate to. And that causes real challenges, both when we have big numbers and we're communicating them to other staff, when we're communicating them to councils, and when we're communicating them to the wider stakeholders. People don't necessarily have a grasp what those things mean.
What are some examples of areas where municipalities are going to have some of these numbers and they're going to potentially run into some problems?
Yeah, so fractions is a great one. So people don't necessarily understand the difference between a third and a quarter. In fact, most people think that a quarter is bigger than a third. So you can imagine if you say, well, we've taken it from a third of the budget to a quarter of the budget spent on this, and people think that you're increasing it rather than decreasing an amount, that's going to cause huge challenges.
Absolutely.
It's caused huge challenges when we're selling burgers. You'll notice everyone kind of tries to come up with a third of a pound burger to compete with the massive quarter of a pound burger. Nobody buys it because everyone thinks, why would I pay more money for less burger?
Wow. It's a problem.
That's a real problem.
So what can a municipality do to present their data in a way that people are going to get and overcome these challenges?
So with people not understanding numbers, what they do understand is stories and storytelling. So we have to be careful when we're releasing numbers that we're releasing them in a way that people can understand almost as a part of a story. That's by giving context. So our budget for this is the same as our neighboring municipalities' budget for fixing this. And everyone can go, okay, I understand what that means, that we're the same size, we should have similar budgets. Yeah. It's about making it relatable. So it's about saying the cost of this new sports field will equal about $2 per person for the next 2 years. And everyone goes, $4 over 2 years? I can afford that. Right? And then we need to make sure that we're telling a full story. So a great example is when we get these big numbers, we get really excited because we see things. So we had 1,000 calls about potholes last week. And everyone's so excited, 1,000 calls about potholes. But then they don't check the statistics and realize that they had 1,000 calls about 250 potholes. So what that actually means is that your citizens are engaged. They want to tell you things. They want to tell you that there's a problem in their street in a way that before we wouldn't have necessarily got that information. And we would have had people say, well, the city doesn't care about me at all. They don't fix potholes. Now they can call and more than one person can call. So instead of being an we're overwhelmed message as Public Works with 1,000 new potholes this week, we can say, wow, thank you so much for saving us the time and energy and going out and finding all of these potholes.
So making citizens part of the story.
Absolutely. And then really keeping in mind the fact that people can relate to numbers, particularly when it comes around money. So when we look at numbers, people start comparing it to things. So how much is a glass of orange juice? Right? Fast food restaurant across the street is about $3.50, right? At this hotel, it's about $11, right? At the Savoy in London, as an Ontario minister found out, it's $16. And people go, $16 for a glass of orange juice. Now, if it was $16 in your sewers budget, would people care? People would have no idea. $16 doesn't even pick up a shovel from your truck. Right? But when it's $16 for orange juice, people can provide comparisons. So we've always got to be really aware of what people might draw out of the information we're giving them.
Right.
The really cool part is as we get more big data, we can start to see the stories that we're being told, right? And we can start to put together, these are the people that live in our community, this is what they're interested in, so these are the stories that we can tell them. So we start to get the heroes of the stories we want to tell, and we get a really good grasp on the audience in a way that we didn't before. Councils have always kind of relied on who comes to council meetings. You know, it's the same 25 people that come to council meetings. It's the same 100 people that come to city council events, right? And so mayors and councilors have been taking their cues from these limited amount of people they've met.
Yes.
Or now they can say, no, when we look at it, we actually have a huge population of people that use our pool, right? Parents aren't coming out to city council meetings. I've got kids in soccer. So a kid's soccer field is going to be really important to me. But I'm not going to ever be able to tell my city councilor that unless I attend those events.
Right. So as municipalities get more of this data, can help drive decisions, of course. You just need to be cautious about how they share that out. Make sure that the story is relatable and communicated in a way that people understand.
Absolutely. Providing that context is so important
Okay.
to give people that knowledge of how to use the information.
Awesome. Those are great tips. Thank you so much, Holly.
Thank you.
Great having you in again.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Susan.
I'm Susan Gardner from Municipal World with Holly Munn from BrandFreek. We share your stories.